Here we have the integral of the square root of 25x squared plus 4 dividing by x to the fourth. And so we want to find this indefinite integral right here. And this integral contains the square root of 25x squared plus 4. So it looks like it contains the form of involving x squared plus a squared. And so we're going to use what's called trigonometric substitution to find this indefinite integral. And since the integral here involves the form x squared plus a squared, so we'll let x be a tangent of theta. So this is what we're going to use. But first, let's rewrite the integral. So let's go ahead and clear the 25. So let's factor out the 25. So to factor the 25, we just put the 25 in front of the parentheses, and then divide this by 25, and then divide 4 by 25. And then if we multiply it back out, we will get 25x squared plus 4. So if we do 25 times x squared, we get 25x squared. If we do 25 times 4 over 25, then we get 4. The square root of 25 is 5, and so we can move the constant 5 and place it in front of the integral. So square root 25 is 5, and then move it and place it in front of the integral. And so now the integral is in the form of x squared plus a squared. So now we have x squared plus a squared. So we can let a squared be 4 over 25. So the a squared will be 4 over 25. And then take the square root of both sides. We get a to be 2/5. And the suggestion is let x be a tangent of theta. And so we let x be tangent of theta. X be a times tangent of theta. And so a is 2/5. So x is equal to tangent of 2/5 times tangent of theta. And then later on we're going to need this. This means that, and so right here we have x equal to 2/5 times tangent of theta. If we multiply the left side by 5/2 and multiply the right side by 5/2, then we get tangent of theta to be 5/2 x, which is 5x over 2. So we're going to need that later on. So now we have x equal to 2/5 times tangent of theta. And so the derivative of x with respect to theta, it'd be 2/5, and then the derivative of tangent of theta is secant squared. So derivative of tangent of theta is secant squared. And so now we have dx is equal to 2/5 secant squared theta times d theta. And now we're ready to make the substitution. So let's go ahead and find this, write this square root expression right here in terms of theta. So we have x squared plus 4, the square root of x squared plus 4 over 25. X is 2/5 tangent of theta. So in the place of x, we have 2/5 tangent of theta, and then square. 2/5 squared is 4 over 25. And then we have tangent squared. And then plus 4 over 25. The common factor is 4 over 25. And then times tangent squared plus 1. But tangent squared plus 1 from trigonometry identities is secant squared. Tangent squared plus 1 is secant squared. The square root of 4 over 25 is 2 over 5. The square root of secant squared is just secant. And therefore the expression square root of x squared plus 4 over 25 is 2/5 secant of theta. And so here's the original integral. So in the place of x squared, the square root of x squared plus 4 over 25, we have 2/5 secant of theta. X is 2/5 tangent of theta, and then to the 4th. Dx is 2/5 secant square d theta. So 2/5 secant square d theta. So let's simplify all the constants. So we have 5 times 2/5 times 2/5, 5 times 2/5 times 2/5. And then down here we have 2/5 to the 4th. So this is 2/5 to the 4th. And so the top we have secant times secant squared, which is secant to the 3rd. And then down here we have tangent to the 4th. And so this is what's left. All of this was simplified to 31.25. Secant to the 3rd is the same as 1 over cosine to the 3rd. Tangent to the 4th is the same as sine to the 4th dividing by cosine to the 4th. This will be 1 over cosine to the 3rd, and then dividing by this quotient is the same as multiplying the reciprocal. So it would be 1 over cosine to the 3rd times cosine to the 4th dividing by sine to the 4th. Cosine to the 4th dividing by cosine to the 3rd would just be cosine. And then we have sine to the 4th. And now let's go find this integral, the integral of cosine divided by sine to the 4th. So we need to find the integral of cosine dividing by sine to the 4th. So let u be sine, and then du d theta derivative of sine is just cosine. So we get a du is equal to cosine theta d theta. So this becomes 1 over sine to the 4th times cosine theta d theta. But we let u be sine of theta, so this will be 1 over u to the 4th. Cosine theta d theta is just du. 1 over u to the 4th is the same as u to the negative 3, u to the negative 4th. The antiderivative here, add 1 to the exponent, negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3, and then dividing by negative 3. And this would be negative 1/3, but u is sine of theta. So we get sine of theta to the negative 3. So here we have negative 1/3, and then sine of theta to the negative 3 is the same as 1 over sine to the third. But 1 over sine is the same as cosecant. And so that's why we get cosecant to the third. 1 over sine is the same as cosecant. And so we get 1 over sine to the third is cosecant to the third. And so this integral right here is negative 1/3 cosecant to the third. Cosecant of theta to the third. 31.25 times negative 1/3 is negative 125 over 12. And then we have cosecant to the third. But the original integral is in terms of x, so we need to rewrite this in terms of x. Earlier we had x is equal to 2/5 times tangent of theta. And so again, multiply both sides by 5/2. We have tangent of theta is equal to 5x over 2. From trigonometry, tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent. And so we need to find what cosecant of theta is. We know that tangent of theta is 5x over 2, but we need cosecant of theta. So this is theta. The opposite side will be 5x. The adjacent side will be 2. And so we need the hypotenuse in order to get cosecant of theta. And so from the right triangle, it will be 5x squared plus 2 squared. So we have 5x squared and then plus 2 squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared. So this will be 25x squared plus 4 and then equal to the hypotenuse squared. And then take the square root of both sides and we get h to be 25x squared plus 4. So the hypotenuse is h the square root of h squared plus 25. It's the square root of 25x squared plus 4. Cosecant from trigonometry is hypotenuse dividing by opposite. So the hypotenuse is the square root of 25x squared plus 4. The opposite side of the angle theta is 5x. And so cosecant of theta is this. So this is the original integral, and so we end up with negative 125 over 12 times cosecant of theta to the third. But cosecant of theta is the square root of 25x squared plus 4 dividing by 5x. And notice right here, this is 5 to the third, so this is 125. 5 to the third is 125. And 125 divided by 125 is just 1. So we end up with negative 1/12 times the square root of 25x squared plus 4 divided by x. So this 5 right here, 5 to the third is 125. And then 125 divided by 125 is just 1. So this is the answer.